Just About Sailing, May 2019. Welcome to this episode. It's come out late, by the way, because I was kind of planning that we would cover the moving of Serenity. Serenity is moving from Faversham, from Iron Wharf Boatyard. Um, but that's not happening until early June. So that will happen in the next video. But I do like to get out at least one video a month. So I thought what I'd do in this one was to give you a bit of an update on the plans, what's gone right, what's gone wrong, why I'm taking a step backwards in order to go forwards. And also that might be useful because I've got quite a number, significant number of new subscribers. And that is really because of Mads giving a shout out on Sail Life, because obviously I've had some correspondence with him regarding rudder work, because it was a year ago that I did my rudder. Um, I should have waited, shouldn't I? If you're not subscribed to Sail Life, by the way, do have a look at the link below and do subscribe, because it is the best boats DIY channel on YouTube by far. Yeah, I wish I'd have waited actually, and then I could have copied Mads, because I did say at the end of my project, I wish I'd have taken a mould of my rudder and gone on from there. But anyway, that's history now. But you're very, very welcome. This is a small channel. I don't monetize it. It's really me talking to the camera and showing a few things that I do. I'm not recommending things. I do tell jokes. I don't monetize it. I don't go onto Patreon. The only time you should see an advert is very occasionally, because I show a few film clips and things, is that the YouTube copyright thing picks it up and sticks an advert on. Although that does confuse me a little bit, because although in my Christmas musical specials I do very accurate note for note renditions of popular tunes, YouTube for some reason hasn't actually recognised any of them. But that will just have to remain a mystery to me. So anyway, enough of this waffling. Let's go back to the beginning and introduce what this whole project is about. My boat is called Serenity. I've owned her. Sorry, my name is Paul, by the way. Always forget that bit. Boat is called Serenity. And she's not named Serenity because I'm looking for a peaceful, tranquil lifestyle. She's built by Thames Marine in Essex in the UK, but I tend to regard her more as sort of a Firefly class vessel, so hopefully that gives you a bit of a clue as to where her name comes from. I've had her for 4 years, and the project was basically to buy a boat, you've got two choices when you buy. I was looking as to what sort of sailboats. She's my first sailboat. And one of the theories is that as you get older, you need a bigger and bigger boat. So for each year you get older, you add a foot onto the boat. So the deal is that you take your age in years, and then in feet, get the number of feet, and then add 10 onto that, and that's the size of boat you need to get. Don't know who came up with that, but if I did that, and I'm not telling you my age, I would end up needing a boat this size. Which, lovely though that may be, that's just not practical. The other way of thinking about this is you should actually get the smallest boat you can possibly get away with and live on, because obviously the monthly outgoings are less, the maintenance costs are less, and so on. There are various equations that show each time you get a foot bigger, the cost double or whatever it is. So that's what I did. So I think Serenity is about the smallest boat that I could get away with. I'm basing my kind of philosophy of cruising is based on this wonderful book, highly influential to me, Voyaging on a Small Income by Annie Hill. Quite old now, but I thoroughly recommend it. And in the back of that, there's a story which was my biggest influencer, and it's also in the £200 Millionaire by Weston Martin. £200 a year back in 1932, which is when it's written. That's the equivalent nowadays of about $10,000 a year, about £8,000 a year. So that's what I'm thinking of. I want to cruise on that sort of money. So phase one was to buy the boat, and then I lived on board her for 2 years. So I wanted to check that I was able to do that in a sort of minimalist way, and I just didn't have any problems. I loved it, loved every single minute of it. I didn't miss having bigger space, didn't miss having being in a house and all that sort of things. Didn't miss, as Uma would say, having a couch. Although this is quite a comfortable chair, isn't it? So I lived on board for 2 years. The next thing was to see whether I was comfortable, because all the sailing, although I enjoyed sailing, all my sailing had been with other people. So I took a sort of shakedown cruise to see if I would actually enjoy this. And 2 years ago, I took 2 months off work and sailed round from Watchet in Somerset, round Land's End in the UK, along the England south coast, round to Faversham in Kent. and I adored it. That's, if you want to watch the videos, I put 13 videos out in April, May 2017, I think it was. And that proved to me, yes, I was on the right track. So that was phase 2. The third phase then was that I was definitely going to keep the boat, definitely keep Serenity, the right boat for me, invest money. I'd already invested in a new engine, wind vane, etc. Is to make her voyage ready so I could then kind of go off. And at the same time, I was developing the passive income, which was also going well. So, why has she been out of the water for 2 years? Well, partly because it takes longer than it should do, but also 2018 I started to have some health problems, and that's part of the reason. They haven't gone away, and that's the reason for taking Serenity out of the water. I need to take a step back in order to go forward. Now, this is not a channel about an old bloke moaning about his health. This is not a serious channel. As I said, I don't monetize it. It's really for my own sort of benefit. But I think, if you're watching these sailing channels, you invest quite a bit of time in that, and I think it's only fair to keep you up to date with what's going on. I will get a video out each month, so I'm not just going to kind of disappear off. And I have now got a plan to both get Serenity back in the water in a longer time scale than I was hoping, and also to get my health sorted out. So I'll go into that a little bit. I'm not going to talk about much medical stuff, partly because I'm a clinician by profession. I'm a CBT, a cognitive behavioural therapist, and I've worked in the National Health Service for quite a few years. And I really don't want to let this become a sort of a health type channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an analogy. I'm going to use the analogy of my battery systems, mental and physical battery systems, are not working properly. So imagine a lead acid battery that's become completely sulfated. It's become discharged too often. It's been abused. It's been overcharged, overused, etc. And that's kind of where my batteries are at the moment. I was hoping to get some medication, which I tried in about December of last year, which worked fine. But when I went to the specialist, the symptoms that I got for the thing they thought it might be polymyalgia rheumatica weren't quite right. They were all on one side of my body in terms of the hurt and the pain and stuff. But given that the medication was quite powerful, it's a bit of a blessing that I don't have to be on powerful medication. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to become my own medic, and I'm doing something. It's like desulfating a battery. Now you've seen batteries. You've seen when the plates get really, really clogged up, or you've even seen bits sort of drop off them if it gets too bad. Now, if you continue to abuse a battery, it will completely clog up, and the potential danger is that if I continue to work the way that I was with the boat and other things, that it's going to take me even longer to get better. I'm now working on a timescale of about a year, and I'm hoping to get up to about 70 or 80% of where I was before. So I've got to become my own medic. So what sort of medic am I going to be?
I want you to understand one thing very clearly. No matter what you do, or say, or plot, no matter how you come down on us, I will never, ever harm you. You're on this table, you're safe. So I'm your medic.
Also, I can kill you with my brain.
Well, somewhere between those two, to be quite honest. Now, what I've done, the same way you would with a battery, is I've taken a baseline of where we are. I'm not going to go into this. This is all energy expenditure and so on. And I've come up with a plan. So whereas with a sulfated battery, you kind of do the pulsed thing, what I'm doing is, say, something called adaptive pacing, which basically means you work out what you can do on a bad day, and you do that on a good day as well. And then as your battery starts getting better, I hope this metaphor works, as your battery starts to kind of become better, you can slowly push those levels up. That's the theory anyway. So what I was doing previously is I was driving to Serenity, which for me at the moment, that's a high intensity type thing. Finding I could only work on her for about half an hour, and then driving back, becoming so exhausted and having discharged and sulfated my plates and all the rest of it, was absolutely rubbish for the next 2 days. So I was hardly getting any work done. So what I'm going to do, I've worked out that I can do about 3 lots of 3/4 of an hour a day with rests, hence Serenity is coming to me. So I should be able to do more work on her with her here than I would have been doing otherwise, even though I'm doing it in smaller chunks, if that makes sense. And at the same time, hopefully sorting out the health issues. So that's probably normal. Oh, I am going to do one more thing about health because I wanted to get in my Vegas joke. One of the things that might be going on, one of the theories, and in the USA is much more advanced in theories on this stuff than we are in the UK. We're very behind. The whole thing started off with a really chronic viral infection of the sinuses. And the trouble is, if you get viral infections, the bit that controls viral infections is sort of the vagus nerve, which is part of the parasympathetic system. And one of the theories is if the vagus nerve itself gets infected, then what happens is your immune system starts to attack you, thinking it's attacking a virus. So you're actually using up battery power, but you're destroying your batteries at the same time. So, and this is the joke, basically what I'm saying is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I do, I take them.
We'll always have Vegas.
That really wasn't worth it, was it? I said this wasn't a serious channel. I hope I haven't put too many people off. But anyway, let's have a look at the list of jobs we need to do, which I've written out and I'll put up here. There aren't a huge amount of things to do. Actually, I've split this into what I need to do to get back in the water and what I need to do to go voyaging. And by voyaging, I kind of mean out of the sight of land. This is the bigger, longer-term voyaging type things. So this would be the Mediterranean type stuff. So up here, I think I could do those and a few of these and get up to the Scottish Islands. The ones I've striped through completely and highlighted in green are the ones which I finished, and the ones which I put a bit of green to, I've kind of started. So the must-haves to get back in the water: rudder, windows, hatch I've done. Checking keel, I've had a quick check of the keel actually, so I should put green through that really. But I want to have a more thorough one because I do want to make sure that there's a little bit of corrosion around there. New tiller pilot, that's simply writing a check to buy it. Varnishing the washboards, varnishing the tiller. Anti-foul I've written down twice, don't know why. Finish the spray hood, which is 90% done. Simply put in the internal grab rails, I've bought them. Galley and cooker, you'd have seen the videos from earlier this year on that. And I do need an electric windlass, because if I'm only going to get it back up to sort of 70-80% of capacity, then I need an electric windlass. So I've put that on the must-have. Nice to haves, I started to put the heater in, as you would have seen. Water tank, holding tank, new seacocks, new interior lining, that's all started. So there's not a massive amount of work to do. In fact, I've probably got more time than I need to do all of that. So the nice thing is, because there's always an advantage when things go wrong, you can always make something good out of a bad situation, is that I'll be able to do more of the voyaging must-haves and nice-to-haves. So I've already got the habitant sorted out, which you would have seen in the previous video, and I bought a fridge. Things like AIS, rewiring, stern anchor, there's not an awful lot of work on these things. This is mostly buying things rather than doing stuff. So it might mean that I'll have a better... Actually, one thing I haven't put down here, which I should have on the nice-to-have for voyaging, is revarnishing and making the interior look really sort of tip-top. So that's the plan. That's what's going to be happening. As I say, this is not a DIY channel. If I am doing DIY stuff, do look at the comments below, or do make comments below if you think that I've been doing things wrong. Because other people can kind of learn from that. We'll see what happens. The next one, I think, hopefully should be quite exciting, because that would be moving Serenity and actually getting onto some of these tasks. So welcome aboard if you're a new viewer, and welcome back. Sorry about the delay if you're an existing subscriber. And I will see you in hopefully early June with Moving Serenity. Cheers.